Now with their thoughts, Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison, member of the Banking, Appropriations, and Commerce Committee. Senator, good morning. Great to see you.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Don. Good morning, Becky.
Becky, was that your first appearance on Saturday Night Live?
It definitely was.
You made it. You made it now.
Many people say you finally made it.
Yeah, I don't think CNBC's made it on that comedy channel quite yet, but certainly.
But you made Jon Stewart. Jim made Jon Stewart, so you're up there.
That is definitely true. Definitely ready for prime time, at least at this point. Senator, I will tell you one thing about this. Let's start with the omnibus bill, because I made the point earlier, we've been talking about it all day. Senator McConnell also complaining about it, but he had a bunch of earmarks in there at the same time. Everybody wants the president to veto this, but they've all got their own earmarks.
Well, Joe, I think that the focus on earmarks should be on transparency and national interest. I think the idea that no member of Congress should ever be able to earmark is not the focus that we should have. We're going to have earmarks. Do we want just the president and the bureaucrats to have earmarks? Do we think that just the bureaucrats can decide what is best in Minnesota or Iowa? I don't think the focus should be on how many earmarks. It should be on what are the earmarks and what are the outrageous earmarks, and we know that there are some. But if we're transparent, I think that people have the right. It is in the Constitution that Congress holds the budget, the purse strings, and so I think we should focus on the bad ones, but we shouldn't say Congress should have no role in passing a budget, passing appropriations.
Senator, how many bad ones do you think are out there? If there's 8,000, how many of them do you think are bad apples?
Well, I think we can judge them on a case-by-case basis, and I think that's what Senator McCain has done so often. He takes the ones that don't seem to make sense or don't have a national interest, but many of them do. And I think in transportation, in the infrastructure areas, I think that there should be input from Congress. But what I did was offer an amendment, which was defeated in this omnibus, to bring us back down to 2008 spending levels, or 2008 with the rate of inflation. This is an 8.8% increase over last year's spending, over what we had in the bills last year. That's what's outrageous. If we put a top line on what we're going to spend, then we can work with the president on what he thinks are not in the national interests in earmarks. And the key is we're adding to the debt, we're adding to the deficit, and what I said was let's take out what's duplicated in the stimulus and the omnibus.
Senator, good morning. How do you define a good earmark and a bad earmark? And also, I talk to a lot of people, as you do, in Texas, and all these families are really, they are sacrificing, and they expect government to sacrifice and to lower expenditures. What do you tell those people?
That they're right.
Yeah.
I tell them they're right, because that's what we have been trying to do, both on the stimulus and the omnibus. The stimulus should have been stimulative, and the omnibus should have said 2008 expenditures, and we cut out everything that we've already just passed 2 weeks ago in the stimulus. That's what the American people are asking us to do, and we could have been responsible, and the Congress was not. That is the issue. And what is a good earmark and what's a bad earmark? A good earmark is when it has a national interest, when there is cancer research. Do you know the Human Genome Project? The Human Genome Project that is going to now tell us what our DNA map is and what we need to guard against and what our children are going to inherit. That's an earmark. And that was a national interest, and it was important. So I don't think we need to start just saying no earmarks. We need to say what kind of budget should we have, and let's be responsible. And the people are right that Congress should be sacrificing. We should be cutting back on areas that are not stimulative right now.
Okay, let's move from the omnibus bill to the budget itself. And this week, we saw that there was some chafing from moderate Democrats on a lot of the stuff that's in the budget. Senator, what's the final budget going to look like in your view? Will cap and trade still be there? Will it be significantly different? What's it going to look like?
Well, let me say that I think Senator Kent Conrad, has been a real leader. He's the chairman of the Budget Committee, and he has said this budget is not going to fly. I hope this is a chance for the president to sit down with members of Congress, with the leaders on both the Republican and the Democratic side, and say, okay, let's really have give and take here. As you know, not one Republican amendment passed in this omnibus bill, not one. That's not give and take, and it's not even letting Republicans talk and have a say. So let's sit down and talk about cap and trade. What does that do to American competitiveness? How does it help our carbon emissions? And how can you have an energy proposal that doesn't promote nuclear, which is the cleanest form of energy, and then say we're going to have cap and trade that put our businesses at a disadvantage? That's what I think we need to talk about in this budget.
You talk to your colleagues daily, I guess. You have, when you talk to the moderate side of the Democratic Party, what do they say about things like card checks? Some of the more contentious issues that are showing up here. Do you detect some wavering there in their support for what the president wants to do? Has he moved left of the mainstream?
Well, I think card check is going to be a real test, and I do think there are many competing issues within card check, and I think some of the Democrats are very unsettled about what this is going to do to the right of a worker to have a real secret ballot and make a choice, and give both sides the ability to make the case to the worker. And I think that it is going to be a real showdown if that is pushed, and if it's pushed in another bill like the budget or reconciliation, where all you need is a majority vote. I think that is going to cause havoc in the Senate, at least, because card check and what they're doing with that is very ill-advised.
Senator, we appreciate your time this morning. Good to see you again. We'll see you again soon, hopefully.
Thank you.
Okay.